For a while now, I have believed that forgiveness should be something personal. Personal in the sense that when you forgive someone, you're doing it for yourself, not for the other person. You are forgiving so that you can move on. Lack of forgiveness means you're still carrying all these negative emotions like anger, frustration, sadness, and resentment. Forgiveness is about letting go, allowing for better emotions to occupy the space that these negative emotions were occupying. Sometimes this may mean you have to forgive without ever getting an apology, without the other person admitting they were wrong or that they wronged you. This can be difficult, but I think it doesn't matter whether or not the other person acknowledges their wrongdoing. Forgiveness, in my possible viewpoint, may have to be unconditional, meaning you are willing to forgive even when no conditions have been met by the person who hurt you. Jacques Derrida, in his work titled On Cosmopolitanism and Forgiveness, talks about something similar. He points out that most everyday or institutional ideas of forgiveness are conditional. We forgive if the wrongdoer apologizes, if they repent, make amends, or show remorse, if they suffer consequences. In these cases, forgiveness is seen as something that is earned, deserved, or exchanged. But Derrida argues that this isn't true forgiveness. It's a kind of transaction, a form of justice, not mercy. If forgiveness has to be earned, then it's no longer pure. He calls forgiveness a paradox. For forgiveness to be pure, it must be impossible. And yet, forgiving the impossible is exactly what true forgiveness demands. The paradox, to give more detail, to truly forgive, you have to forgive something that cannot be forgiven. That means if something is so awful, like genocide, torture, or betrayal, that it's considered morally or legally unforgivable, you forgive it anyway. And that is the only real act of forgiveness. But that also makes forgiveness logically impossible. How do you forgive what, by definition, cannot be forgiven? Now, the part of Derrida's whole idea that sticks with me is the unconditional forgiveness part. Forgiveness isn't about what someone else has to earn. It's not about what they deserve. It's about you internally. Are you ready for forgiveness? Forgiveness is a decision you come to after processing and reflecting. It's something you do for your own peace. You forgive for yourself, not for the other person. That being said, if someone does apologize, it can make forgiveness easier. And honestly, it usually will make it easier. We're almost wired to expect apologies before we can forgive someone. So yes, apologizing will help. However, relying and depending on people to apologize or to acknowledge their faults is a mistake. If you're waiting for someone else to apologize so that you can start to forgive and move on, then you're giving them power over your healing. You're handing control of your emotional life to someone who may never do what you are hoping. You don't need their permission to start moving on. You can begin this process on your own. And yes, I do understand that this way of looking and viewing forgiveness may seem unfair. It puts all the weight on, and I guess all the weight and pressure and responsibility on you. The wrongdoer may not even have to do anything, and you have to do everything. That's the whole point here. People are unpredictable and they have their own shit going on, and I don't like the idea of making my ability to heal dependent on someone else's actions. I want to have that power. I want to be the one who decides when I'm ready to move forward or not. So yeah, I'll forgive you even if you don't deserve it, because I don't care whether you deserve it or not. I'm doing it for myself. And I want to be clear. Let me just make this very clear. Forgiving someone doesn't mean what they did is excused, doesn't mean you're forgetting or pretending nothing happened. It's choosing to let go, to move on. It's about accepting that it happened without allowing the situation to control your life and your emotional state. And of course, depending on the situation and what happened, this process might take a longer time or a shorter time, and it may take like several years, like depending on what happened, but it's just going to be worth it. Also, I do want to say that this is not my belief of what forgiveness should be, but it is like a draft of what I think it should be, if that makes sense. But yeah, just let me know what you think. Maybe I'm going too far in one direction and not really considering like the other direction of like the wrongdoer does have to apologize in some situations, because a lot of fucked up stuff can happen. And you may actually need that apology or that acknowledgement of that person, knowing that they wronged you in a certain way. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next one.